Well, it's 2 days short of 50. Will we be counting when 50 days comes around? 6 boys abducted from the Lagos State Model College are yet to regain their freedom. When will they be reunited with their parents?
Well, joining us to discuss this is a social commentator, Femi Lawson. Thank you for your time with us on the show. It is very sad at this time, and you can imagine what the parents of these 6 Ebola boys are going through at the moment. Should Nigerians be angry, or are they not even angry enough?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that we have to start counting days since this thing began, and every day we wake up, it's our hope that we don't add another day before these children are rescued, because what we are demanding basically is that these children are rescued. It is becoming, it is getting to a point that frustrations are already setting in, not only for the parents and relatives, but for people who are also, stakeholders, who have also been involved, in the clamor for the release of these 6 children who were abducted in their school dormitory in Ekpe. Even at our own level in the last couple of weeks, we've initiated this safe school and community advocacy group, and we have been putting pressure on government and the security agencies to ensure that these children are, for God's sake, 6 secondary school children are nowhere to be found, and for almost 50 days. And it's unfortunate that everything looks to be normal with us as a people. Everything looks to be normal, even within the government circle. Everything even seems to be normal, even within the schools.
No, are you saying that you're not impressed with the way government is going about it? Governor Ambode has reassured over and over again that these children, everything is being done to actually, bring about their rescue.
It is reassuring that the governor is speaking now, but the truth is that practically we need to begin to see steps that the government is taking.
What kind of steps do you want to see?
This is 48 good days of night vigil for the parents of these children. And like I have stated earlier in one of these programs here, that we should not also rule out the option of negotiating for the release of these children. In as much as the security agencies may be doing their best, either to capture this kidnapper, or rescue these children with the, going by the use of their own, nature of work. The state should also, at this point, should have been engaging these people. They are not ghosts, like the governor also said in one of the visits.
Well, the kidnappers really want to negotiate with the Lagos State government. That's why they collected
from the very first day,
10 million naira from the parents and still didn't release these boys.
Well,
is that assuring? What I want to ask is that assuring that even if the Lagos State government does so and pays these people, of course, many are saying the government shouldn't do that, and the government says it doesn't even negotiate with criminals anyway.
It's a popular impression.
Would it be assuring that these kidnappers would release the boys? They promised just last week that they would do so very soon, and until now, the boys are not back.
They are still being held, as objects of negotiations. Quite unfortunate. The truth is that from the very day these children were taken, they've been relating with their parents to the point of even getting part of the ransom demanded. It's unfortunate that we have to find ourselves in a situation where we have to pay criminals, to get children back when they're abducted. But the truth is that we have not had enough, enough provisions to prevent, our children from being abducted by this criminal element. So we must be ready as a society to pay the price, for some of those things we have refused to do. And while doing that also, we should also be preparing, for a situation whereby we can prevent future occurrence.
And isn't that what is even leading to rise in kidnappings in the country, because they get a lot of money? Put in mind the, the revelation of Evans, the kidnapper.
Not only because of the amount of money they get from this criminal act, the society itself has opened the window, for a lot of young people to go into, criminalities like, kidnapping. Not only in the schools, even in our communities.
In what way then would you indict the rest of society for encouraging this?
We have been too quiet, and the society in most times have been complicit. Look at what has happened in Ikorodu in the last couple of months. We find criminal elements living within the people, being shielded sometimes. Sometimes we don't want to talk. I don't want to be noticed. I don't want to be fingered. And we allowed crime to continue to thrive. You understand? So the people are also guilty. Because like I said, these are not ghosts. These are people we encounter in our day-to-day. So when you have people in your neighborhood whose trade you don't know, whose businesses are not clean, and you're suspicious of their, conduct, it is not, there's nothing wrong in you pointing that to the necessary. If they are investigated and they are found to be innocent, good. But we don't keep quiet and allow crimes to thrive within our communities. In other words, all because we want to be, to be correct
in the affairs of
whatever happens around us.
Of their neighbors. Okay, now, people are saying that, of course, there is little they can do, really, because, of course, they are civilians anyway. But how can people rally around themselves? When you recall what happened after the Grenfell Tower fire in the UK, people rallied around to support the victims, to give them stuff. But you do not see them it used to be like that in the past in the country, but somehow now it seems Nigerians have withdrawn into their shells, and not in my backyard attitude is being displayed almost every time. So how important is it that, for example, parents in the country to say that enough, we want these boys back? Of course, we still remember the Chibok schoolgirls. Some of them are still not back.
Well, I think we cannot completely put the blame on our people if we want to be objective in really analyzing the situation that the average Nigerian found themselves today. The truth is that we may only need to encourage people using tools like, for good 48 days, TVC have been discussing this every day, which is quite encouraging. We can't continue to use tools, like the media, to sensitize our people and encourage them to have their voice today. Recall that during the interrogation of that, arrested billionaire kidnapper Evans, there was something very instructive during the course of that, during the course of the revelations that were made, that in one of the operations where somebody was kidnapped, the man who eventually escaped from there then in one of the key things that necessitated the escape of that person was the fact that it got to a stage that the kidnappers became so uncomfortable because the issue was already, they even came to threaten it, that your brother has taken this thing to Facebook, your brother has taken this to the newspaper. So we need more of our people to begin to speak. We want these criminal elements to also know that Nigerians are no longer comfortable with their continued detention of these children against their own will. So we need to get Nigerians start talking, putting pressure, using whatever capacity we have to have our voices.
Even the hashtag
which is being done
free
already.
6 boys, boys, it's out there, it's been there forever, but it's not even trending as expected.
That's why we need to mobilize more of our people, using the instrumentalities of the media and for those of us who are active on the social media to ensure that we have our voices to this. This will not only, encourage the parent, but this will also, hasten whatever action the government is taking to ensure that these children are rescued.
Now, should government's action include taking the bold step of actually sacking some of the traditional rulers within whose domain these kidnappings are going on,
we have gotten to a stage where that is inevitable now. If you look at what happened in Ikorodu and all those surrounding communities, and I love the position taken by the Lagos State government, the government was bold enough to come out categorically, to indict some of them. We cannot continue to tolerate a situation whereby people who are locally responsible, to be custodian of their communities, now allows their backyard, some of them allows their compound to be used, to perpetrate some of these crimes. And this is more rampant in these riverine communities. And until the government take the bold step, of sacking some of these elements who take advantage of being the custodians of this community to encourage crime, you understand, then people will not begin to steal the reason to be responsible, wherever they are kept, no matter as Bale or as a king.
Okay, but won't it be a case of cutting off their head because you have a headache? Because many have somehow come to the defense of some of these people that, yes, some members of a community could be complicit, but saying that the head of that community should be held responsible almost every time might not work, because you can never outsmart your assailant. You can never outsmart someone that is tailing you. But then, what about, as been suggested, about community policing and then supported by the government and the police? Will that work?
Even if eventually we have, to resort to community policing, the truth is that we must still have people locally who coordinate whatever happens in this community. Not all our traditional rulers or leaders of community have been found culpable. Only that there are some elements within who are not helping the position of the government in ensuring that our societies are crime-free. And until we start, ensuring that there's a punitive step taken, people will not take the state serious. People will not take the government serious. Over the years, we have had instances where even ballets have gone to stand as surety, to get criminal elements released from the police. A lot of them were openly indicted by the police during the time.
So how confident are you?
So we cannot continue to tolerate some of these things. There must be decisive actions.
Absolutely. How confident are you that in the case of Bado, for example, we've heard that almost 150 are already in arrested, police net. How confident are you that we'll really get the kind of closure we need in the case of not only Bado, but the kidnappers that are, that Ambode says they're not spirits? Anyway.
Yeah, that's the truth. And like the Lagos State Police Command said, not necessarily that the 150, mostly young men that have been arrested are going to be, culpable eventually. They are in the process of screening, interrogating all this so that those who may be innocent, might be set free, and those who might be found culpable are prosecuted. But it is important for us to, at this stage, see the need for us to go back, and encourage community policing. And if we don't do that, you cannot bring a police officer from Akwa Ibom or somebody from Ikeja to come and really know the details of what is happening, in a remote part of Ikorodu or Ekpe or Badagry. We need people who live within these communities to be empowered, to police these communities. And that is the best approach anywhere in the world to nipping crime.
All right, finally, now, talking about prosecution, you mentioned earlier, of course, kidnappers have become emboldened, as it were, per time now in the country. And of course, Lagos State has a law that says it's death penalty for any kidnapper whose victim dies while in his custody, and of course, life imprisonment for those, regardless, so long as they don't die. But it seems that there is need now for that law to be seen to prosecute a suspected kidnapper, first off, to act as a deterrent to others?
Yes, yes. The government must empower the judiciary to ensure that cases that involve kidnapping are speedily dispensed, so that we need to start seeing people now that this thing is on the rise. We need to start seeing people now being sentenced to life imprisonment. Nigerians need to start seeing people now being, sentenced to death for committing this crime. And that is when this element will continue to take this society serious. In the past, we have had people arrested for kidnappers, granted bail by the courts, and they are back on the streets. Some of them are even back in, in the business of kidnapping. So we need to ensure that this, system take effect by ensuring that the judicial arm is empowered, the government take it serious in the area of prosecution, that whosoever is found, wanting should squarely
be punished. Olufemi Lawson, public affairs analyst. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
For joining us on TVC Breakfast.